You'll hear the count. Okay, three, two,
Hi,
one.
hi. I'm Gigi, better known as Katrina Caldwell, and I am getting prompt to go ahead and do the interview, the one-on-one interview.
All right. So, if you could please read the question for us, Gigi.
So the my interview, I mean, my question was, if I was going to be the president for one day, what was my choice? What would I change?
Okay.
And my would be student loans, make
Okay.
it affordable for students so they can focus on a career. They have different programs which allow us to um, use funds from the government that we don't have to pay back, but it's never enough to cover up all our expenses through the whole year of going to school. So my thing is that would be the first thing I do and change the policy because if you take a loan, the interest rate is so high. As soon as you get out of school, you got all this debt from going to school, paying, trying to pay your tuition to go to school. So it's really kind of, to me, a burden for most students to go to school than it is for us, not to go to school. And most kids don't go because they can't afford to go. And then you have children, you have family members or whatever that can't even afford to send you to school. So that would be my first thing I would do if I was president is change the laws of student loans.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one. I think what we've seen is a lot of people, even after they graduate, right? Like you said, that interest rate, they're not really making
Mm-hmm.
progress on those payments, which is why they implemented that student loan forgiveness program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I definitely think there could essentially be better policies, like you said, that can ultimately allow for more coverage or more financial support in order to ensure that students as they graduate and they enter the workforce aren't, having the burden of having not only pay the loan, but these high interest rates where it ultimately seems like they're never paying it down. That's pretty.
Yeah. If you don't become like, to me, if you don't become a doctor, lawyer, or something in prestige, like a prestigious career, more so that makes that kind of money. If you were not putting in, not doubling down or anything else, but I know if I was going to school to be a cosmetologist, a hairstylist, and I had a student loan to do that for the first year or two, I'm not going to make the money to
Yeah.
be comfortably payments plus being doing trying to gather up clients. So going to be a school to be something that you can afford to pay back your student loans for the last, sometime it could be up to 10, 15, 20 years, depending on what you got to do. And it really, 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 in different countries, some countries, they don't charge students to come to a student loan to go to school. They
No,
let them focus.
you're right. And I know there are other countries that essentially allow individuals to go to school for free. Um, and that would be kind of interesting to see how they're able to um, offer that, right, to at no expense to anyone. So not sure
Mhm.
if it's through taxes, through a shared debt or something to that extent, but yeah, that would be really good to kind of understand how they can actually implement that so that people can go to school and receive a higher education at no additional cost. So that'd be pretty cool. I guess we can move on to the second one. What would be your second policy or rule that you would change?
My second policy would be it was student loans. And you know what? I just lost my page, Bill. The second policy would be the law, changing the law. I
Okay.
feel that the police law, I feel that they should reevaluate how we train our officers uh, to become policemen with the brutality, police brutality raising up on minorities. And not only that for everyone, because it's not only, it used to be just minorities, but now it's gotten really bad where it could be anyone. And I'm not saying that to say that we, I'm just feeling this. I'm feeling retrain police officers, peace officers, the mental part, have them to do a more intense psych evaluations on higher. It'll make them make better decisions when they're in different situations. more so than to pull their weapon out or be afraid and they shot because they were scared or they're nervous. I think that that should be more so than it is the physical part of it, because it hasn't gotten any better and it's getting worse with the police brutality. Lives are being lost and people are being really, really getting worse here. And I have family members that's policemen, and they say the same thing, you know. So
I just think, and I think you're right. I'm, I don't want to say I'm going to disagree with you because I'm not. I think you're spot on, right? And I used to be in law enforcement, so um, I think every individual has different experiences which cause different reactions, right? And I think these traumatic events, kind of like what you were saying, the psychology aspect of it, I think there needs to be a little bit more thought and implementation as far as what can be provided as a resource to police officers, because the reality is
right.
a lot of officers, like your relatives, right? They're probably putting in so many hours. They are seeing so many things. So mentally they're drained, physically they're drained, and then emotionally they're drained, right? Because they're having to respond to calls where, innocent children's lives are lost, family members, women, children, fathers, husbands, kids. And so
Mm-hmm.
it does take a toll. So I think you're spot on. I think there could definitely be something different where they can implement and provide a better resource to police officers, and maybe even a break, right? Instead of, hey, you just got off the shift, you got to come back in 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever the case may be and pull a double.
Right.
Like that can
Mhm.
also be another resource where they can essentially give them more of a break so that mentally
Mhm.
they're away from it and ultimately do better. Yeah, I agree.
Because my family always say, I want to go home too.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get,
yeah.
I'm trying to get. So when they're faced with so much danger, like you said, they're faced, you probably seen so much and faced with so much. Oh, how cute. You have to really, really
Oh,
think about yourself as well as protect the public or stranger, because you don't know what's on somebody's mind. You out there, your life is at risk, and you are really, really trying your best to do your job, because that's what it is, and also make it home to your loved ones. And
yeah.
like you said, I think that would be good that they could take a longer break, or they can do something to eliminate so much stress within those sometimes 16 hours, sometimes 15-hour period of time of working. Because I used to be in the medical field and I worked in the ER room. And so from Thursday to Saturday, mainly Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, we get all kind of things in there. We don't get a break either, but we be so tired. And I remember going home from the county, Riverside is where I worked, in the Corona, and I would drive from Moreno Valley, and I would be speeding, and a police officer would pull me over. But because I was a nurse, and he seen that I was in the medical field and I was coming from the county, he would let me go.
Okay.
He'd just say, "I know you're tired, and just be easy. How much further you have to go?" So I do feel protected knowing that policemen are out there, knowing that I can call them, knowing that, that we have an option here for, peace officers. Because God, I want my family members to come home. And not only that, it's a lot to go through with being an officer, a lot. So anything that you're serving, as well as yourself using the military, right? Using the military, right? So, our services, nursing, military, all that kind of stuff, we take a lot of toll on our lives for people.
Yeah, I
For
concur.
oth-
I concur.
for
So,
oth-
and that one was a good one. So, what would be your third
My
one?
last one is healthcare. I would like affordable health care. I don't know how they would implicate this, but in other countries, health care is not a cost. If you get sick or whatever, you could go to the hospital, and they don't ask you for your medical uh, papers. They don't ask you for your financial statements or whatever. The government pays for you to have free medical, some kind of way. And I think that if the government here would do the same here for our doctors, our doctors will be paid probably not as much, but I believe that our doctors get paid a lot more because of the pharmaceutical uh,
Aspect of it.
department.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're stuck in the middle of that because that's a big gain for them, you know. So doctors get paid the money plus they get allowances from pharmaceutical, which we suffer. We
Yeah.
suffer, people. You know, my grandmother should not have to pay for her medication at 91 years old. If you still at the age where you're still having children, you should not have to have a bill if you didn't have any insurance for your wife to have a baby. And then if you have to go to the emergency room, God forbid, after they get you stable, somebody's going to be standing there getting your information so they can bill you for that. And that was something that you couldn't even help. And you can, you know, so the medical, I would like to change the medical as well.
That's a really good one as well. The last person I helped brought that up as well, and I think that's a good one because it's very expensive when it comes to co-payments, when it comes to your essentially your and I can't think of it, but your monthly premiums for insurance coverage, so deductibles, you know, all that stuff. So you're pretty much spot on, and I think that would be a really good one as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So that is my three things if I became president: healthcare, student loans, and justice, the justice system, which I think is a narrative to this country completely. You know, I really uh, felt really that was something I can do, you
yeah.
know, to make our country better. Because those are three things that we vibe on. You know, we have to go to school so we can have an education. We get sick, we need help, and we need the policeman.
I concur. So that puts us at about 11 minutes going on 12. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.